So question 11 asks us to identify the zeros of the quadratic function. Negative 3x squared minus 3x equals negative 6. So if we wanted to solve this one, we could use many different methods. You could use completing the square, you could use quadratic formula, or you could use factoring. So right off the bat, I see these negative 3's and this negative 6. So my first thought would be factoring, simply because I know I could factor out that negative 3, move the negative 6 over, and then factor out the negative 3, and then hopefully be able to factor the trinomial from there. You also could pretty easily use quadratic formula since these are all whole numbers. You could also even use completing the square. But you may end up with decimals since you would end up having 1 as your b term when you divide by that negative 3. But if you're okay with that, then go right ahead. I'm going to solve it using factoring, as I said, simply because I see that this negative 3 could pretty easily be factored out as a GCF. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 6 to both sides so that it is equal to 0, so I can use the zero product property. So I have negative 3x squared minus 3x plus 6 equals 0. So then, as I just stated, I could take out the negative 3, and I'm left with x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. So then to factor this trinomial, it's just a basic trinomial for me to factor. I'm trying to see what multiplies to give me negative 2 and adds to give me positive 1. So my only options here are negative 2 times 1 or 2 times negative 1. Well, negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1, and 2 plus negative 1 is positive 1. So it factors into negative 3 times x plus 2 times x minus 1. So then, negative 3 will never equal 0. So the first factor in this will never equal 0. The second factor, x plus 2, will equal 0 when x is equivalent to negative 2. And then my third factor, x minus 1, will equal 0 when x is equal to positive 1. So through zero product property here at the end, I know that my two values of x that will make this equation equivalent to 0 are negative 2 and positive 1. Again, if you wanted to solve that using the quadratic formula, you definitely could. And you also could even do it using completing the square, as long as you could get through those decimal values.